What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Big Dog Brett. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. We've recently added the thanks button, so if you're watching this and you want to give me a thanks, there's a way you can support the channel by doing that. So use the thanks button if you feel like it. Much appreciate all the support. You guys supporting the channel is one of the things that keeps it going, so really appreciate you guys that do. Also, I don't do a lot of content in the off season until I feel that it's important. We're starting to see more and more stuff popping up. Now we're kind of get a feel for who's going to be playing what position and whatnot. So we're going to be talking a lot about this upcoming 2022 season, what Georgia has returning, and do they have the ability to make a championship run? We'll see right after this. All right, guys. First off, Georgia lost a ton of players in the 2021-22 from the 2021 national championship team to the NFL. Record-setting 15 players, absolutely insane. Georgia lost a ton of talent. So, and if you want to know more about how that season went, you can go over and you can check out Dogstruction over at Dawg Post. Dean Legge put together a great book, a lot of big full-page pictures in there, catalogs every single game we played, and there's just some phenomenal pictures in there. The forward is by Jeff Foxworthy, a lifelong Georgia fan. Go check it out. You guys won't be disappointed. Get them now before they sell out, because I think at a certain point he's not going to get any more made, so they are limited. Okay, so let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, kind of, sort of, Stetson Bennett. So a lot of people are very concerned that Stetson Bennett is coming back to being a UGA quarterback next year. Stetson Bennett has really kind of got a bad rap for not being this big flashy quarterback, for being a quarterback who just didn't perform the way Georgia fans thought he should perform, especially with Georgia fans knowing that there's two 5-star players and a 4-star player behind him, and JT Daniels also being on the roster, a 5-star player. For the life of me, even with Stetson Bennett winning the national championship, a lot of people are still not giving this young man the credit he deserves. So I thought I would give you guys a little bit of information, a little bit of food for thought about Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett had the third best QBR of all quarterbacks last year. Third best. If you take his name off of it and you don't say Stetson Bennett, if you say JT Daniels had the third best QBR of all QBs last year, you'd be like, I could see that if he was a starter. The Dogs average 38.6 points per game. And if you take away the first game of the season where Georgia only scored 10 points, that number goes up significantly. Had 190 yards rushing average per game, so that's certainly not bad. And JT Daniels passed for a school record of 39 touchdowns. They also ranked in the top 10 in explosive plays. Now, that means that from the line of scrimmage, the play goes for 20 to 30 yards. Stetson Bennett is also rated the 41 best all-time in QBR ratings. The 41st best of all time, according to ESPN. The 14th best ever in the SEC. The 14th best ever in the SEC. Finishing ahead of Deshaun Watson, Marcus Mariota, who played for Oregon, Johnny Manziel, Dak Prescott, and Tim Tebow. He's better than all of those guys. He's ranked higher on QBR than all of those guys. By the way, that's Stetson Bennett, not JT Daniels. So if you're a Georgia fan and you're wanting an elite quarterback, if you're wanting a quarterback that can do the job, this is generational. There's only like 2 other Georgia quarterbacks on that list. One is Aaron Murray. The other one is Jake Fromm. Now, he is much, much lower on that list, but he is on the list. Stetson Bennett is the 3rd best quarterback returning in the country by QBR rating. If you are a fan of quarterbacks, stop looking at the bench and look at what's on the field, because the young man has been able to produce. We'll leave it at that. So, from a quarterback standpoint, does Georgia have a quarterback who can go out and win a national championship? Clearly we do, because we have a returning champion quarterback. So, I'd have to give a check mark to Georgia on that. Yes, I'm a Georgia homer. I get that. But I'm going to be as objective as I can with this. Now, all of the stuff I just told you, those are all facts. Returning offense, Stetson Bennett. And behind him is Carson Beck, who's looked really good. Brock Vandergriff, Gunnar Stockton, potentially Arch Manning in the future. We don't know how that's going to go, but we'll find out. But Georgia's quarterback room is loaded. So if Georgia was to lose Stetson Bennett, which, by the way, the guy's tough as nails, if we were to lose Stetson Bennett, we have quality behind him. People say Georgia lost a bunch of players. Going to be a bunch of young players out there. Here's Georgia's offensive line. Warren Erickson, senior. Tate Ratledge, sophomore. Cameron Kinney, sophomore. Clay Webb, junior. Cedric Van Pran, who's a sophomore, has shown some elite talent. Amarius Mims. If you don't know who Amarius Mims is, highly rated, multiple high-star sophomore returning Georgia offensive line. Warren McClendon, junior. Xavier Truss, junior. Broderick Jones, sophomore. And 7 more sophomores. So there's some youth there, but there's also some experience. So we can't say that that's just, whatever. So can Georgia win with that? Yep. Georgia could win with that offensive line. There's a lot of quality, high-star rated talent there. Kendall Milton, running back position, probably going to be our big star this year. Dejon Edwards, junior, he's coming back. Kendall Milton's a senior. And a young man by the name of Branson Robinson, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get a few touches. Yes, he is a freshman, but he's highly talented. Georgia has 2 NFL caliber running backs in Kendall Milton and Dejon Edwards already. So having one is more than most teams have. Georgia runs tandem. This is not a surprise. This is Kendall Milton's turn. You're going to see him run the ball a lot. So is the running back room in good shape? Yep. Let's talk about Georgia's wide receiver position. This is probably one of the best wide receiver positions Georgia has had in a long time. We have Adonai Mitchell, makes the game-winning offensive score for Georgia at the end of the national championship game, defeating Alabama. Dominic Blaylock, who's made some tremendous catches, he's a junior. By the way, Adonai Mitchell's a sophomore. He's going to be here for a while. Dominic Blaylock, junior. Karis Jackson, senior. Arian Smith, sophomore. Jackson Meeks, sophomore. CJ Smith. This guy has insane speed. I don't think there's anybody that can catch him. He can absolutely take the top off of the defense. Marcus Rosemy-Jack-Saint, he's back. And Ladd McConkey. If you don't know who these guys are, it takes you about 2 seconds to find them on ESPN stats league, roster, stat sheet. So, wide receiver room, check. Can Georgia win a national championship with those guys? Yep, sure can, because a couple of those guys, if not all of those guys, played in the national championship game. So, yeah, we can. Tight end, Brock Bowers. Tight end room, Brock Bowers, national championship monster player. Darnell Washington, who's a junior. By the way, Brock Bowers is a sophomore. He's a sophomore this year, freshman last year. He's going to be back. He's going to be playing pretty much every game. He's an absolute elite talent. Darnell Washington should be back. We have Oscar Delp. If you don't know who Oscar Delp is, probably one of the highest rated tight ends you'll ever find. And Eric Gilbert is a sophomore who has played LSU, transferred to Florida. I think he came back, and then he was out for a year. Had to get some stuff figured out, and he's back. So Eric Gilbert's going to be back this year. This guy is the highest rated tight end ever, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I have to double check. Pretty sure. So, tight end room. One tight end is more than enough if it's Brock Bowers. And Georgia has 4 elite talents at the tight end position, and Todd Monken is doing an outstanding job developing those guys. So, tight end room, check. I don't know what else you need on an offense here. This is an absolutely elite offense. Every offense in the country would trade places with Georgia, I'm pretty sure. One of the top returning quarterbacks in the country, highest QBR, is Bryce Young, and Bryce Young only has one target to throw to, and it's going to be Jermaine Burton. Other than that, he's got some guys they're trying to develop. So Georgia's wide receiver room is more developed and deeper than Alabama's at the moment. Georgia's tight end room is deeper and more developed than Alabama's at the moment. I could probably say that Georgia's running back room is one of the deepest and most talented in the country right now. So this is an absolutely rock star offense. No reason why they can't produce numbers. This will be an elite offense this year, another year under Todd Monken. It's going to be a fun year to watch. Let's jump over to the defensive side of the ball. We'll start out talking about the DBs, and got to give hats off to Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo wins the award for most valuable returning defensive back because he's the one who performed the pick six to seal the national championship game. And yes, I'm going to keep saying that. He's a sophomore. He was a freshman when he did that. Sophomore now, so he's got a reputation for being an elite player. Chris Smith, another absolutely speed demon on the field. He's a senior this year. Lots of speed with Chris Smith. Last year he had 35 tackles, 4 breakups, 3 interceptions, 2 quarterback pressures, played on every defensive snap against Clemson, Alabama, and Tennessee. The guy's insane. Got off key blocks. I think he got off 4 blocks for Keely Ringo in his interception. So, guy's an absolute beast. So, defensive back, check. William Poole, he's a senior. He has similar stats to Chris Smith. Not as many interceptions, but lots of tackles. Senior. Dan Jackson, junior. Last year, 40 tackles. 7 tackles versus Kentucky and 6 against Missouri. This guy can put himself in a position to make big plays. He blocked a punt against Arkansas. He was also the guy that made the last block in Keely Ringo's return, number 47. As you saw, he got pretty much blasted right there at the end as he was going in. So he's not scared to get out there and play. You also got Warren Brinson, who's going to be a junior this year. So more experience in that defensive back room. So defensive back room, check. Linebacker position. We'll come back to them in just a second. Let's go ahead and talk about a defensive line. Nazir Stackhouse, he's a junior, 6'3", 320 pounds. We'll come back to this guy here in just a second. Tramel Walthour, he's a senior, 6'3", 280 pounds. Tymon Mitchell, junior, 6'3", 300 pounds. Zion Logue, junior, 6'5", 295 pounds. Warren Brinson, junior, I think we just talked about him as DB as well. 6'4", 305 pounds. Warren Brinson is not a defensive back. He is a defensive line guy, my mistake. Misread my label here. No, I can't memorize all this stuff. Nobody can. And also Barry Alexander is a freshman, 6'3", 315 pounds. If you don't know who Barry Alexander is, take a moment, go look up his stuff. Would not be surprised to see him play quite a bit. This guy's super talented. So the defensive line is juniors and seniors. Georgia continues to develop talent. Nobody thought last year that Georgia was going to put 15 guys in the NFL with the talent that we started the season with. Obviously, Georgia developed that talent. They're going to continue to develop these guys as well. Lots and lots of 5 stars and lots of 4 stars here, guys. So, let's talk about the linebacker room. The linebacker room at Georgia has probably been one of the most underrated positions that we've talked about in a long time. The reason behind that is if you go back even to Roquan Smith, that in my opinion, that's kind of where it started. We started to see Georgia developing linebackers into just monsters. MJ Sherman, Jr., super high-rated guy. Robert Bill Jr., senior, 23 tackles, 7 sacks last year, 6'4", 255. Tresman Marshall, Jr. Nolan Smith, senior. If you know who Nolan Smith is, you haven't been watching Georgia football. 6'3", 235 pounds, 56 tackles, 9 tackles for lost yards. Absolute machine. 27 quarterback pressures, blocks punts, sacks. Created a sack in the Arkansas game for the safety. Guy's just kind of the total package. Turn him loose. You're going to hear his name a lot this year. So, defensive line, check. Linebackers, check. Defensive backs, check. Tight ends, check. Wide receiver, check. Running back, check. Offensive line, check. Quarterbacks, check. I'm sorry, guys. I don't understand why so many people think Georgia's going to take this huge step back. In all likelihood, you will probably see the Georgia offense take a step forward, and you will probably see Georgia's defensive line maintain, maybe take a little bit of a step back, but you're going to start to see names that you didn't really hear a lot last year because of the talent ahead of them was juniors and seniors. If Georgia can put 15 guys in the NFL, they can obviously develop teammates. Georgia is returning a ton of players. You heard me say junior and senior I don't know how many times. This is not a brand new team. This is not a super fresh team. This is not a super new team. This is not a team that doesn't know what they're doing. All of these guys, with the exception of the freshmen, played with the guys that went to the NFL last year. There is so much talent at Georgia, it is scary. If you think Georgia's going to take a big step back, you obviously haven't jumped in and done any of this research, haven't looked at any of these numbers. Georgia's absolutely going to run through the East. Well, you pick the analogy that you like the best. As for me, I don't see anybody that's going to stand in Georgia's way until we get at least to the SEC championship game. Georgia has already proved that they can stand toe-to-toe with the best of them. So I think Georgia has an opportunity here to repeat. I know it's hard to repeat. I'm not going to predict a repeat, but I'm telling you, Georgia certainly has everything it takes to go 0 losses through the regular season and get to the SEC championship game. And we may be in another position where even if Georgia loses the SEC championship game, they will still make a playoff game. It's difficult to beat the same team twice. Ask Alabama. It just is. So I don't really see much competition out there across the rest of the field right now. There may be a team that spins up that'll be super elite. I think your top 4 best teams right now are probably going to be Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State for sure. I've got to see more out of a Texas A&M. I've got to see more out of a Oklahoma. I got to see more out of a Clemson before I can predict any kind of anything. And I'm certainly not worried about the Tennessees and Alabamas of the world. Certainly not worried about Oregon. And we'll make another video about that later. But that's my standpoint right now, guys. Don't forget to go check out Dogstruction. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share button, join, become a member. I'm also going to be doing more stuff with the live shows as we start to get close to the season, so stick around for that. Hit the notification bell, and if you want to thank, you can hit the thanks button too. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Where's it at? Where's it at? There it is. God bless. Go Dogs.